All right, welcome in everyone. We're diving deep today. We're going to be looking at Stephen's address from Acts chapter 7 in the New King James Version of the Bible.
Very cool.
Now, this is a powerful piece of text.
It really is, yeah.
A lot to unpack here. Stephen, full of faith, he's on trial, accused of blasphemy.
Wow.
And instead of just backing down, he responds with this incredible speech.
Interesting.
And he's recounting the history of the Israelites.
So, like a history lesson.
Yeah. But I know a lot of people hear that and they think, names, dates, all that stuff. It's much more than that.
For sure.
It's really not just a history lesson.
Right.
Thankfully, we have our expert here.
Absolutely.
To guide us through it. The twists and turns of Stephen's argument.
Yeah.
And why this speech still matters centuries later.
Yeah, it's incredible how he's using the past to kind of make a statement about the present.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, weaves these stories together, highlighting God's presence, even when things are tough.
Like really tough.
Yeah, amidst all the human failings and stuff.
Yeah. It's kind of like it's almost like a foreshadowing, right?
In a way, yeah.
So we've got some really intriguing elements, we've got the burning bush.
Right.
We've got Joseph rising to power in Egypt. We've got this prophecy about the just one who is to come.
Yeah. Big stuff.
But where does Stephen actually start? He goes all the way back to the call of Abraham.
The OG?
Yeah. The foundation of the Israelite nation.
The foundation, for sure.
God promises this land. Descendants as numerous as the stars.
It's a pretty big promise.
It's huge.
Promise.
But what's remarkable about it?
Like that.
God doesn't give him a specific plot of land.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Interesting.
This is a true test of faith.
Absolutely, yeah.
Abraham had to leave, everything he knew.
Like everything.
His home, security.
Right.
He had to venture into the unknown, basically just based on a word.
Yeah. Just trust.
Yeah. It's pure trust.
That's amazing.
Now, talk about radical obedience.
Yeah.
Especially back then.
Right.
Could you, this is a huge risk for him, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So tell us about that. Why is this act of faith so central to Stephen's whole argument?
Well, you have to think about it. Back then, land was everything.
Yeah.
It was your wealth, your security, your social standing,
Right.
to just leave it all behind.
Crazy.
It's basically social suicide.
Yeah.
It went against every single bit of common sense.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Abraham's trust, his faith in God's promise, was bigger than his fear.
Right.
He was willing to risk it all.
Yeah.
And this act of obedience, this is like the blueprint for the whole Israelite story.
Wow.
A people chosen by God, guided by his promises,
Okay.
and challenged to trust, even when it seems impossible.
Wow. So think about that, listener.
Yeah.
Think about a time where you had to take a leap of faith like that. Something beyond what you could see or understand.
What got you to take that risk?
And, from Abraham, Stephen shifts to Joseph.
Okay.
Now, Joseph's story, it's a classic.
It is.
It's an example of God's providence.
Even when there's betrayal and hardship.
Absolutely. But instead of, recounting the entire story, which I'm sure a lot of you already know, let's focus on something specific that Stephen points out.
Okay.
Joseph's family comes to Egypt, right?
Yeah.
It's 75 people.
75.
But later on, when they leave, it's a massive multitude.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Why do you think he mentions that?
Oh, that's a great point.
Yeah.
That number, it's not just a random fact.
Okay.
Stephen's using it to show how God keeps his promises.
Okay.
Remember what God told Abraham? Descendants like the stars in the sky.
Right.
So you start with this tiny group, 75 people. They face all this adversity.
Yeah.
But they grow into a nation. God's faithfulness across generations. It's like watching a seed grow, right?
Exactly.
Planted in faith, and it just blossoms.
And blossoms into something huge.
And it's like even when things seem bleak, there's this bigger picture.
There's a plan.
Yeah, this divine plan that's kind of unfolding.
Unfolding, exactly.
And so then, from Joseph, we move on to Moses.
Okay. Another major figure.
Huge.
Right.
Now, Moses is born into this time of oppression.
Yeah.
Right.
A new pharaoh.
A new pharaoh.
Who doesn't even know Joseph.
Doesn't care about any of that.
None of it.
So he enslaves the Israelites.
Yeah.
And this sets the stage for Moses' extraordinary call.
Yeah. But what about identity?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Because he's raised Egyptian royalty.
Doesn't even know no.
No, I think he's Hebrew.
Right.
But something changes.
Yeah.
And he identifies with his people.
To the point of killing. Right.
An Egyptian guard.
Yeah.
For mistreating a Hebrew slave.
Yeah. So that makes me think, I don't know, what about you, listener? Have you ever had that feeling of, like, not knowing where you belong?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Like questioning your purpose. It's a universal struggle.
It really is. It's like trying to reconcile your upbringing, your experiences with this deeper sense of, what am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah, for sure.
But, Moses' story suggests that maybe sometimes our true calling.
It kind of comes when you least expect it.
Yeah, and it might require you to step outside that comfort zone.
And fight for what's right.
Absolutely. Now, we've talked about God's faithfulness, Joseph's story, challenges of identity with Moses.
Right.
But there's another big theme that pops up.
What's that?
Human error.
Yeah. We're not perfect.
God delivers the Israelites from slavery, right?
Miraculously.
You'd think they'd be like, okay, we're good. Let's just, be great.
Total obedience, right?
Yeah.
You would think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But you see it all the time in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
You see all this power, all this faithfulness, but they struggle to stay the course.
Yeah. Which brings us to the golden calf.
Oh, boy.
Right.
A classic example.
So Moses is up on Mount Sinai, getting the 10 Commandments.
Important stuff.
Yeah.
Important stuff.
But down below,
what do they do?
They're getting impatient.
Yeah.
Building a golden calf.
To worship.
Talk about turning away from God.
It's like they forgot everything.
After he just saved them.
Yeah. But, this isn't just some story from way back when.
Right.
This is a reflection of a deeper struggle.
Absolutely. It's that tension,
Sure.
Knowing what's right, but...
Messing up.
Yeah.
Have you felt that, listener?
We all have.
It's that tension. I know what I should be doing, but...
It's human. We make mistakes.
It's human.
But we learn and we grow, and God's always there to pick us back up.
And so, Stephen, he's using all these stories.
Yeah.
He's painting this picture of a people, chosen by God, blessed by his promises. Right.
But prone to doubt.
And disobedience. But he's building to something.
Yeah. He's not just rehashing history here. He's got a point.
A big one.
And that's where we'll pick up in part 2.
Looking forward to it.
Join us. We'll see how Stephen connects all of this to his present moment.
And what it means for us today.
Absolutely.
All
right, so stay tuned.
All right, so we're back. And as we get further into Stephen's address, we see him kind of shift gears.
Okay.
He's not just telling these stories anymore. He's starting to confront his accusers.
Oh, so it's getting a little more intense.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Remember all those stories we talked about?
Abraham, Joseph, Moses.
Exactly. Abraham, Joseph, Moses. The golden calf.
Right.
He's tying them all together to the situation right in front of him.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so the tension's building here.
Big time.
Yeah, Stephen's not just, reminiscing about the past.
No.
He's using it.
He's using it as a mirror. Okay.
To show them their own hypocrisy.
Wow.
Yeah. And he's basically saying, look, there's this pattern.
Okay.
This resistance to God's will.
Okay.
Throughout history.
Right.
And it all leads up to...
the rejection of Jesus.
Wow,
so he's not pulling any punches here. He's calling them out.
He is. Straight up calls them stiff-necked and uncircumcised and hardened ears.
Wow, I bet they didn't like that very much.
Not one bit.
So he's not sugarcoating anything?
Nope. Direct confrontation.
Yeah, he's saying you're just like your ancestors.
Exactly. Closed off.
To the Holy Spirit.
Resisting God's truth.
And that brings us back to that golden calf incident, doesn't it?
Full circle.
They saw all these miracles.
God's deliverance.
But they still messed up.
Turned away to worship a fake idol.
So Stephen's saying that's happening again.
That's exactly his point.
Yeah.
They rejected the prophets that God sent.
Yeah.
And now they've rejected the Messiah.
The just one.
The just one.
Wow, that's a bold statement.
Oh, it is. It's a powerful indictment.
It's like he's saying, you guys are missing the point.
Missing the whole point of their history.
You're not seeing God's presence and guidance.
Yeah. They're blind to it.
So how do they react to this? Because I imagine...
They were furious.
Yeah.
The text says they were cut to the heart.
Wow.
Gnashed at him with their teeth.
I mean, you can just feel the tension in that room. Put yourself in that situation, listener.
Right.
You're on trial for blasphemy.
And you're not even defending yourself.
But you turn around.
And you call them out.
You say, you're the problem.
Exactly.
Wow. I mean, it's obvious.
Oh, yeah.
That Stephen is hitting a nerve here.
Big time.
They're enraged.
But he keeps going.
Yeah, I mean...
That's courage right there.
He's standing his ground.
He knows what he believes.
Yeah, he's got this deep conviction. He's willing to risk everything.
For the truth.
Yeah, and he's showing that true faith, it's not about just playing it safe. It's about standing up for what you believe.
Even when it's tough. Even when it's dangerous.
So what about you, listener?
What truths are you willing to fight for?
Yeah, are there things you believe in so strongly
that you'd risk it all?
Are you willing to speak out against injustice?
Even when it's uncomfortable?
These are big questions.
And as Stephen's getting to the climax of his speech, something amazing happens.
Okay.
The text says he was full of the Holy Spirit.
Right.
He gazed into heaven and saw the glory of God.
Wow.
And Jesus standing at the right hand of God.
So it's like we've gone from this courtroom
to a vision of heaven.
Yeah. Imagine that, listener.
You're surrounded by this angry mob.
You're about to die.
And suddenly, you see heaven.
Wow. It's like this,
It's a glimpse of the divine.
Yeah.
It's powerful. And Stephen, he doesn't keep it to himself.
What does he do?
He shouts it out.
What does he say?
Look, I see the heavens opened and the Son of Man standing at the right hand of God.
It's like he's saying, you know, you might not believe my words.
Right, but this is real.
I'm seeing it right now.
There's a power greater than you.
This is incredible.
His faith is unshakable.
Yeah.
But tragically,
It backfires.
it makes them even angrier.
Oh, no.
And they stone him to death.
Oh,
The first martyr in Christian history.
It's a stark reminder that speaking the truth,
Can have a cost.
it can.
But even in his final moments, Stephen, he shows us what he's all about.
What's that?
Forgiveness, grace.
As he's being stoned.
He cries out, Lord Jesus, receive my spirit.
Wow.
And then he prays for them.
For the people killing him.
Lord, do not charge them with this sin.
That's incredible.
It's like he's rising above it all.
Yeah. Above the hate.
And violence.
He's showing the true power of faith.
And forgiveness.
So we've reached the end of Stephen's speech.
It's been a journey.
Faith, courage,
Persecution.
and ultimately redemption.
But Stephen's story,
It doesn't end there.
it doesn't end with his death.
And in part 3,
We'll see how it all unfolds.
we'll see the ripple effects of his words and actions.
In ways you might not expect.
So make sure to join us for the final part of this deep dive. Welcome back. So we've been on this journey with Stephen's address.
Powerful stuff, right?
His faith, his courage in the face of, such intense opposition.
And that incredible act of forgiveness, even as he's dying.
But like we said, his story, it doesn't just end there.
It's like his death is just the beginning
Yeah.
of something much bigger.
And to understand that, we need to talk about this young man
Okay.
who was there when they stoned Stephen.
He saw it all.
His name is Saul.
And at this point, Saul, he's a persecutor.
Of Christians.
Oh, yeah.
So he's like the opposite of everything Stephen stood for.
Totally. He sees Stephen's message as blasphemy,
Right.
and he's actively trying to silence anyone who follows Jesus.
So we've got Saul representing everything Stephen opposed, and he's right there when Stephen dies.
Front row seat to this whole tragic event.
What happens next? Because this is where things take like a crazy turn.
Buckle up.
Okay.
This is a total game changer.
Okay.
So Saul, he's on his way to Damascus.
To persecute more Christians.
That's the plan.
Okay.
But on the road, something happens.
Okay.
He has this encounter.
The risen Christ.
Whoa. So the guy who approved of Stephen's killing
Mm-hmm.
meets Jesus face to face.
The very person Stephen proclaimed. The one he died for.
It's almost like it's hard to believe.
It's pretty mind-blowing.
Like this huge twist of fate.
It changes everything.
For Saul.
For Saul, and honestly, for the history of Christianity.
So this encounter changes him completely.
Transformed.
From persecutor to what?
To Paul, the apostle.
No way.
Yeah.
The one who wrote all those letters in the New Testament.
The one and only.
So he dedicates his whole life to
spreading the message he once tried to destroy.
That's incredible.
It really is. That's a testament to something, isn't it?
To the power of God's grace.
Yeah. To completely transform.
To take the hardest heart.
And make it new.
Exactly.
Wow. So, Stephen's death. It was tragic.
It was unjust.
But it sparked this whole chain of events.
It became a catalyst.
Like God took this terrible thing.
And brought good out of it.
Yeah.
It's a reminder, God works even in the toughest situations.
Even when it seems like there's no hope.
There's always hope.
And, it shows how connected we all are, right?
Absolutely.
Stephen's faithfulness.
Planted a seed.
That grew in Paul.
And led to the spread of this incredible message.
Far beyond what Stephen could have imagined. It makes you think, what about our actions?
Yeah, think about the ripple effects.
Yeah. We might never know the full impact of what we do.
But even the smallest things.
A kind word, a helping hand.
They can make a difference.
They can echo through time.
Absolutely.
And Stephen's story, it reminds us
that standing up for what's right, speaking the truth,
it matters.
It can have consequences far beyond our lifetime.
So we've come to the end of our deep dive into Stephen's address.
We've seen his faith, his courage,
and how he left a legacy that continues to this day.
A legacy of truth and love.
So as we wrap up, we want to leave you with a question. What about your legacy? What truths are you willing to stand up for? What kind of impact do you want to have on the world?
Because even in the face of opposition, even when things seem impossible,
your actions can make a difference.
They can change the world.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
We hope you'll join us again next time.